Hi everyone, my name is Sean Hester with Revizto, and thank you for joining me today. I'm going to be talking about some best practices for the use of the Revizto iPad app. So this is going to be for all of our field users out there. Now, where I'm going to start is on our open screen, and then we're going to walk through the preferences. One item that is very important for us, for the field team, is going to be our download for field button. So that's going to be when I click on our little gear icon here and we click this download for field button. The reason why that's important is because that allows us to download immediately the 2D and 3D information for our project. So setting the stage a little bit here. I get in the morning into the office trailer, go and grab my cup of coffee. I click that download for field button, come back, and all of my relevant project information is ready to go for me to walk out into the field. That way I don't have to be tethered to Wi-Fi, which is something that's very important with the iPad use with Revizto. We don't have to be tethered to Wi-Fi, but we always want to grab that latest and greatest information in the morning before we're stepping foot into the field. And this is going to allow us to do that download for field button. Now, the other things I want to take a look at are the preferences. So our preferences are located up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my general. Okay, we're going to start there. The important things to note here are going to be the default screen for our projects. And you have three choices: Issue Tracker, 2D, and 3D. These are the modules of Revizto that will open upon opening your project. So if I'm more comfortable in 2D as a field user, I am going to open Revizto in 2D. If I'm comfortable in 3D and I want to start there, then we'll do that as well. Or if I'm finding myself more living in the issue tracker as I'm verifying issues on the project, we can select the issue tracker. Now, the other button that's important is going to be that auto update projects. This goes hand in hand with that download for field button. When I unselect this, it means that I need to manually update my project. When we click that download for field button, we're grabbing the latest and greatest information, so I can be rest assured that I'm grabbing that latest info. Now, throughout the course of the day, if I'm connected to Wi-Fi again, if any of the project information is updated, we will see the sync button, which is up here at my cursor. We will see that bold, and I can click that at that time and manually grab that latest information. Otherwise, as many times as I hit download for field during the day, then I will grab that latest information. The other spot we're going to look at is our graphics. Okay, what I like to do while using the iPad app is turn everything off in here except for double-sided materials, and I might also click the occlusion culling as well. Okay, all these other items are pretty taxing on the graphics cards, especially on the iPad, so it's good to have those turned off and just use the double-sided materials. All right, let's X out of here, and let's go ahead and open one of our projects. Now, as I said, I like to have my information starting on 2D, okay? But you can change that however you'd like. Now, what we usually talk when we're doing field training is starting in 2D. Everyone is comfortable in 2D. Everyone can read construction documents. That's a good place to start. And some things that we like to walk through in 2D is the overlay, which is something I know a lot of you have become accustomed to. Click on any floor plan and then click that green overlay button here down at the bottom left. This provides a lot of value for our field users, okay? That allows us to get that perspective on how the 2D interacts with the 3D. And as always, this doesn't just work with floor plans, this works with sections, elevations, and details within our plan sets as well. Now, the other thing we can leverage the 2D for is navigating in 3D, and this is another important aspect, right? Because again, everyone's comfortable with 2D documents. That's what they flip through all day long. That's how they read the documents to figure out what they have to build throughout the course of the day. But if we want to get to 3D from our 2D drawings, we can do that as well. This button over here on the right-hand side is our Jump to 3D button. When I select that, you can see here we get our floor plan highlighted in green, and I can double click anywhere within this. I'm going to turn my section cut off here, and we teleport ourselves within the project. Okay, so let's do that again. I'm going to click on 2D. I'm going to click that jump to 3D button, and I'm going to double click somewhere else over here in the project model. So again, this is really nice to get around. Maybe while I'm taking a look at a 2D document, I may want to get a different perspective as far as what exactly is taking place in this room at that ceiling. I'm getting the information I need to from the design documents, but I may want to take a closer look in 3D and get that additional perspective on what's happening in that space. Now, another very useful navigational item that we like to point out while working with our field users in 3D is going to be our map tool. And that's an important one because this really bridges the gap, bridges the 2D and 3D for some of those users to get more accustomed to working in 3D. And what this is doing is it's making it easier for them to get around without having to fly through the model. Not everyone is comfortable flying through the model, and that's fine. We give you the tools at Revizto to not have to do that. So if I want to jump to level 1 and I want to go into this room over here, I can double click inside here, and then we can see that we can hop into that room. And that's important, right? Because maybe I want to jump to the complete opposite side of the building and go to the 3rd floor. I can click that 3rd floor, we can hop in this room, and there we are teleporting ourselves into there. So not having to navigate is important, very important. The room tool is also a very helpful tool for navigating as well, right? Being able to click through rooms and jump from room to room to room within the project. Viewpoints is another tool we see used quite a bit with our field users, setting up some viewpoints for them. But I am going to show you a little bit different way of creating personal viewpoints for users within the project, okay? Again, from a navigational perspective, 2D to 3D works very well, the map tool, and then obviously the rooms helps for getting along as well. The iPad app is going to be fully functioning just like our desktop app. I'm using the desktop app to talk through the iPad best practices here only because it's easier to see the mouse and point out exactly what I am showing you guys. But everything, all the tools are in the same spot. They all function the same between the desktop app and the iPad, which is really nice so you don't have to learn a new user interface. Now, some of the other tools that a lot of our field users end up using on the iPad is obviously going to be the measurement tool to get those spot elevations and quick measurements within Revizto. The sectioning tool is something that's easy to use and we see a lot of users using. And then also the object selection tree. Now, all these are tools that you can see being used in our other videos, so I'm not going to spend any time on that. But I do just want to point out that those are fully functioning here on the iPad. And we do have a lot of users that find a lot of value in those. Now, it is a fully functioning application, just like our desktop app. So all the tools are in the same spot. They're going to function the same, which means that I have the ability to go through all of the issues in the issue tracker on the iPad app as well. Now, one thing I did talk about was not using a ton of viewpoints within the issue tracker or within Revizto, and a little bit different workflow for saving views out. And we're going to actually leverage the issue tracker to save some personal views within our project. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hop back to 3D. Okay, I'm going to get a little different view here. All right. And I'm actually going to use a personal stamp to help me save views within my project. Okay, so I'm going to scroll all the way down here. And what I have here is a Sean Hester stamp. It is titled with my name. I'm going to assign myself to this within the project. Okay. And we can add some additional information here, but to be honest, this is going to be used just to save out some views and come back to them. Allows me to take some notes on the project as well while I'm saving out some views. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the project. Now let's say as I am walking through the project, we're installing this curtain wall inside, or the storefront inside the project, and there's some potential issues that are coming up. okay? And what I want to do is I want to save this out as a Sean Hester view. This is not necessarily an issue within the project, okay? But this is something I want to track down some further information. Now, what you're also going to notice is I've saved this out as a private issue. Okay, this is not a public issue, which means that I'm the only one who can see this right now, which is nice because it does not cloud up the project with a bunch of issues that aren't necessarily issues. Okay, so that's something I want to come back to. I can take a picture of that real world condition here with the photo icon right there. I can mark up exactly what the issue may be, and we can mark up those photos too if we need to. Okay, so I'm going to save that out. And I'm actually going to continue walking the project and come out here, and I'm going to cut a section within here as well. I'm just going to spin around here. Okay, let's close this. Let's add that section. Just going to cut a vertical section in here as I'm kind of going through and checking out some ceiling spaces. Okay, this is just a view I want to come back to, not necessarily a view I want everyone else on the project to have to see in the viewpoints. But here, I can save out that view. I can call it something if I want to. It's automatically going to title it as Sean Hester because that's the name of the stamp. But I can actually call this my vertical section. Okay. Select done. And now this is also in the issue tracker. Now the reason why I'm leveraging the issue tracker is because I can set up a custom filter of just my Sean Hester stamps. And that way I get to look at the 18 views that I've already set up, right? These are my personal stamps. I'm actually going to save this out as a filter. Okay, that's going to be at the bottom of my list here. And I'm not going to share it with anyone because this is just my stamps that I'm taking a look at. But what's nice about this is you'll see here when I click on that previous one that we were looking at with the storefront window, and I click to 3D, now I'm back to that view, right? And I can go back to my vertical section, and there we have that section. So this is kind of a dynamic way of saving out my own personal viewpoints within the project. Here's one for an overhead coordination view. And as I said, what's nice is this gives me the ability to track some notes in here if I need to, okay? So if I have some thoughts on this vertical section or I have some thoughts on this particular storefront issue, I can type those notes. I can document without having to make it an issue just yet. If I find in the end that this needs to be an issue, I can always change that abbreviation to something else, in which case we can send it up to the actual person who's in charge of this issue who has to fix it. But in the meantime, I can save that out as a view for me to hold on my own within my Sean Hester stamps right here. So a nice quick way to save out those views. Well, thank you everyone for joining in here and taking a quick look at just some workflow on the iPad.